Okay guys, we are making a Powerless theme cocktail. We're going to end with 2 ounces of gin, fig gin, and then a little bit of brandy just to add some kick to it. I also added some grenadine for taste and for color. Here I am adding some green food coloring. I'm going to add some ice, and I am going to shake this baby up to see if I can make the color purple. Because I do not know color theory, and apparently adding green to reddish orange just makes more green. Anyways, so there I am shaking it up like the pro that I am. It's very, very green. It probably would have been better suited for another book, but we make mistakes over here, and that's okay. So here we are pouring it off, and then I am going to top it off with a little bit of LaCroix limoncello flavor too, because I don't have any tonic water, and I'm also trying to be conscious of the calories that I consume. So this is our power theme drink for today's show. What do you think? Welcome back to Boozy Books, where we talk about books and we have a little drinky drink. Welcome to Boozy Books, where literature meets libation. Today we're going to be talking about Powerless by Lauren Roberts. So go ahead, grab your drink if you hadn't, and let's talk this story out, okay? Okay, so this book, I did not realize it was young adult until after, but that's fine. So there's like no spice, which is totally fine. I thought the story was pretty good anyways. We have trials, we have morally gray men, and we have an FMC who is like faking it until she makes it. All right, so we're setting the scene. So there's this plague, and it gives some people powers, and it gives other people nothing. They're just basic AF. And the king was like, you know what, those regulars, they gotta go. So he just starts like killing people, right? Like just out of here. And if you were found like harboring them, like you were out of here too, but you didn't get killed. You just got like banished or whatever. Like kids, elderly, it doesn't matter. You could have been the best person in the world. If you ended up not having the power, you were done for, okay? But our main character, FMC, she doesn't have a power, but she's been pretending that she has one since as long as she can remember, thanks to her daddy. So he like made sure like she knew how to fight and she knew how to pretend to have power, which is being a psychic. And basically she would just like read people. She could tell by like what you were wearing, like if you had dirt on your shoe, if you had tan lines, like whatever. She could give you enough information to make you think that she was actually a psychic, but she was just reading you. She like comes across 3 guys, and I guess it's significant because I'm saying it, right? So the first guy is like a guard, and he hits her because like he doesn't like her psychic powers. Then another guy, I can't remember which order now, but another guy, she meets him. She steals like a piece of paper off him. Oh, she's a thief, by the way. Her dad died, so she's living on the streets, and she's just trying to make a way, okay? So the second guy, she steals a piece of paper from him. And then the next guy, she steals some gold or some silver, some coins from him. But what she doesn't know is this guy is actually the prince. So he's the prince. He is like, doesn't give a fuck because he's just carrying his money around. Like there are poor people, there are starving people, there are angry people all around. He's like, fuck it, I got money, so I'm just gonna wear this money around, and you can try to get it from me. Anyway, so like he got into this fight with this group of people, and they were like kicking his ass, right? But then like this other guy who has like an illegal power, like a silencer, he came in and he was like really fucking the prince up. Then Peyton, she's like, oh shit, let me go save this guy. I don't know why, but she did, so we're here. Anyway, she saves him. The prince, he has a power where he can detect like other people's powers and use them. So he was just like, I can't feel your power. And she was like, oh yeah, that's because I'm a psychic. Like it's nothing major, so like don't worry about it. So they become acquainted because of that, and they have like a little bit of banter. It's cute. But then like the next day she sees her name in a list of like contestants for this trial, and she's like, what the fuck? So the people nominated her to fight in these trials because she saved the prince. It's like, that's one hell of a thank you. So the trials are very much giving like Hunger Games, right? And there are 3 of them, and they have to do these balls and like dress up. Like if you grew up reading Hunger Games like I did, like quite similar in my opinion. So they go through these trials, and as they go through these trials, the prince is also in the trials. So there are 2 princes. There's one that's gonna ascend to the throne, and then there's this one that's in the trials, and he's like the military branch. You know how the monarchs do. So anyways, in these trials, her and him, like, they get close, and she's like trying to fight her feelings for him because she's just trying to survive, right? Like she's a girl in a big world, and she probably doesn't need to be there. Everybody else has powers in these trials but her, and she has been, you know, surviving. I won't say like truly kicking ass, but like she's been handling her own. So aside from like being a psychic, like having this kind of like mundane power, she has been drawing attention to herself, probably intentionally. So they're supposed to like wear green. That is like an unspoken rule. But Peyton is like, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want. So like one of the balls, she shows up in a silver dress. And she always shows up like with her dagger on display, like, hey, don't fuck with me. And we love a girl who's just like, try me if you want to, right? And so like she's getting the attention of the king, who like doesn't like her, obviously, because she doesn't have any powers, because he's a hater. She's also getting attention from the prince who's gonna ascend the throne. So Kit is the one who's gonna ascend the throne, and they have like this kind of like cute, adorable relationship. Kit is just so sweet. He gives me golden retriever vibes. Like I want to be his friend, but that also makes him a little naive, because eventually Peyton like has to trick him in order to get his key, because she's part of like some rebel resistance thing. So remember when I said that she had taken a slip of paper from a guy? Well, this guy's part of the resistance, and that piece of paper actually like had a note that says like meet at her house, like her old house, before her dad died. She's like, what the fuck? So she was nosy, so she went and go checked it out. When she got there, she found like some rebels, and they were like, hey, by the way, your dad was actually one of the leaders when this first started, so welcome to the club, girl. So she kind of has to like do this double agent thing, which is why she has to like trick Kit into getting the key, because the rebels want to like storm the castle, storm the trials, to be like, hey, we're here. And the rebels are a mix of like, you know, powerless people with mundane abilities, I think people that have like cool powers are like elites, and then you have like the powers that you're not supposed to have, like the silencer. So it's just a bunch of people who are just like, why the fuck are you killing these people? Like, it's weird. And also this plague has been happened like so fucking long ago, and you have all these ordinary people who are here, but like your kingdom's still good. So like you're obviously on some BS. There were 3 trials. They get through them. The last trial is like a maze, and you have to like get to the center of the maze, and the king is like, you have to kill the person who was there, because like they have like transgressions against the kingdom. And so when we get to the center, it's actually somebody that Peyton knows, that she's really, really close to, that I did not mention earlier. It's basically like her buddy that she has been spending years with, living on the streets with, that she actually brought to the castle to help make her dresses. And now old girl is like sitting there about to get whacked off. Anyway, some kind of fight ensues. Her friend ends up dying, but before she dies, she's like, hey, you need to wear the vest that I made for you. Sus. Anyway, so after that, Peyton like runs away. She runs to find the vest. She meets the king. They start fighting. She somehow kills the king. Now Kit is like on the throne, and Kit is upset because he was like, I was tricked, I was fooled, like I like this girl. And Kai, I guess he's confused because he's like, what the fuck? But anyway, so they know now, like, she's a rebel and she doesn't have any powers, anything like that. And so like the last part is like where Kit is like, hey, you need to go get her and bring her back here. So I don't know, like, is it gonna be like, so I can execute you, or like, is it I can profess my love to you? Like, why did you do this? Like, please tell me why. Because Kit seems like really interested in what she has to say, and I'm like, Peyton, you could have been on his war council, girl. You could have been the ear of the king. But it's not my story, okay? So that's basically it in a nutshell. And it was fine. Like, it was interesting. There were like the few twists and turns. I was not expecting the friend to be the one who was gonna get killed. Like, I was a little sad for her because I was like, oh, like she, you know, they were like slumming it together and started from the bottom, now they're here. Started from the bottom, now this girl's dead. So yeah, that was a little sad, but it is what it is. I don't know if I'm gonna read the second one simply because like it's young adult. Young me would have loved this. Like I said, it definitely gives me like Hunger Game vibes, and I lived and breathed Hunger Games, so I think younger me would have definitely liked it. I may check out the second book at a later time, just to kind of see what happens. I think it's a trilogy. It may be more. I don't know. I may just check out the second book just to see how it is, see how I like it. But I would say, even though I didn't have spice, I did like the banter, kind of like the slow burn of the relationship. So I will give this 4 silver daggers. But it's hard for me to recommend it because it is young A. Like, I'm trying to rate it based off of me as a younger person, but me as an adult, I'd probably give it like 2.5. Not because I didn't like it, but it just wasn't enough for me. But younger me, she would have loved it. So I'm gonna stick with the 4 silver daggers. Check it out if you want, or if you don't want. You don't have to. But thanks again for joining me here at Boozy Books, where we talk about books we're sipping over. I think if you're like me and you enjoy reading some of like the heavier fantasy where like your heart is broken, like this is a good like break. Like, I'm currently reading Zodiac Academy, and like this was like a good break. Like, let me just get away from all the nonsense and just something that's not gonna have me crying for 2 hours. So a good like palate cleanser.